Jake Morrison pushed the throttle forward and watched his salvage ship drift toward the strange object floating in the darkness. He had been searching the outer edges of the solar system for weeks, looking for old satellites or debris that might be worth something. Most days he found nothing but space junk. Today was different. The object was huge, maybe 3 times the size of his own ship. It looked like a warship, but not like any design he had ever seen. The hull was dark gray metal, with smooth curves that seemed to flow like water. Strange symbols were carved into the sides, and they almost looked human, but not quite right. "What the hell is that thing?" Jake muttered to himself as he brought his ship closer. He had been a pilot for the Earth Defense Force 20 years ago, before the Dominion came and took over everything. He knew every human ship design that had ever been built, and this was not one of them. Jake activated his scanner and waited for the results. The readings made him sit up straight in his chair. The ship was giving off a weak power signature, which meant it was still active after floating out here for who knows how long. The metal was also showing traces of elements that should not exist in human technology. He grabbed his radio and called his old friend Alex Thompson, who worked at a repair station on one of Jupiter's moons. "Alex, you need to see this. I found something out here that does not make sense." "What kind of something?" Alex's voice crackled through the static. "A ship, a big one. And it's still powered up." There was a long pause. "Jake, you know what the Dominion does to people who mess with unknown technology? They shoot first and ask questions later. This is not Dominion tech. I think it might be ours." "Ours?" "Jake, we have not built anything bigger than a transport ship in 50 years. The Dominion made sure of that." Jake stared at the mysterious vessel floating in front of him. "Just get out here, Alex. Bring Lisa Carter if you can find her. We are going to need an engineer." 3 days later, Alex arrived in a small transport ship with Dr. Lisa Carter. Lisa was one of the smartest people Jake had ever met, and she had been working with the Resistance for years. She took one look at the strange ship and her eyes went wide. "This is impossible," she whispered as she studied the scanner readings. "The power systems are completely different from anything we have ever built. But look at these structural patterns. They are definitely human design principles." The 3 of them suited up and crossed over to the mystery ship. Jake found an airlock that looked almost normal, except for the strange symbols around the edges. Lisa connected a small device to the control panel, and after a few minutes, the door opened with a soft hiss. Inside, the ship was dark but warm. Emergency lighting strips glowed along the walls, casting everything in a soft blue light. The corridors were wider than normal human ships, and the walls had a smooth, almost organic look to them. "The air is breathable," Lisa said, checking her scanner. "In fact, it's perfect. Temperature, pressure, oxygen levels, everything is exactly right for humans." They made their way to what looked like the bridge. It was a large circular room with stations arranged around a central platform. The displays were all dark, but Jake could see they were designed for human hands and eyes. Everything was the right size, the right height, the right shape. "There," Lisa pointed to a wall panel covered in symbols. "I think that might be some kind of identification." Jake looked closer. The symbols were carved deep into the metal, and they almost looked like letters. "Phoenix 1, he read slowly. "That's what it says." Phoenix 1. Alex was examining a control station. "Jake, look at this. These controls are human design, but they're more advanced than anything we ever built. It's like someone took our technology and made it better." Lisa was connecting her equipment to various systems around the bridge. "I'm getting readings from all over the ship. The power plant is running at about 10%, but it's incredibly efficient. The computer systems are active but locked down. And there are weapon systems that I can't even identify." "Weapons?" Jake asked. "Big ones. This ship is armed for war, but with technology I have never seen before." Suddenly, the main display screen flickered to life. A soft female voice filled the bridge, speaking in perfect English. "Welcome aboard Phoenix 1. I am Arya, the ship's artificial intelligence." "I have been waiting for you." The 3 humans stepped back in shock. Jake was the first to speak. You can understand us? Of course. I was created by humans for humans. I have been drifting in space for 203 years, 7 months, and 16 days. I have been monitoring Earth and waiting for the right moment to reveal myself. Lisa, step forward. 200 years? But that's impossible. We didn't have this kind of technology 200 years ago. You are correct. Phoenix 1 was built by a secret project called the Phoenix Initiative. It was humanity's last attempt to create a weapon that could fight the Dominion Empire. I was launched just before Earth surrendered, but my mission was never completed. What mission? Alex asked. To find a way to free humanity from Dominion control. I have spent 2 centuries analyzing their technology, their tactics, their weaknesses. I have been learning and growing stronger. Jake looked around the bridge with new understanding. You're telling us this is a human warship from before the conquest? Not just a warship. I am a mobile research platform designed to adapt and evolve. Every day I have been intercepting Dominion communications, studying their ship designs, learning their battle plans. I know more about the Dominion military than they know about themselves. Lisa's hands were shaking as she worked at her console. The technology readings I'm getting are incredible. This ship could probably take on an entire Dominion fleet. That was the idea, Arya replied. But I need a crew. I need humans who are willing to fight for their freedom. Jake looked at his 2 friends. Alex was staring at the weapons displays with amazement. Lisa was already deep into the ship's technical systems, her eyes bright with excitement. What would we be getting into? Jake asked. War, Arya said simply. The Dominion Empire controls most of the galaxy. They have thousands of ships, millions of soldiers, and they have kept humanity down for 50 years. But they have never faced anything like Phoenix 1. And if we fail, then humanity remains enslaved forever. But if we succeed, we could start a rebellion that spreads across the galaxy. Other species are watching and waiting. They need to see that the Dominion can be defeated. Jake walked to the captain's chair and sat down. It fit him perfectly, as if it had been made for him. How do we start? First, we need to test my systems. There is a Dominion patrol fleet near Jupiter. They think they are safe because no human ship has ever challenged them. You want us to attack a Dominion fleet? Alex asked. I want to show them that humanity is not finished. That we can still fight back. Lisa looked up from her console. Jake, the weapon systems on this ship are beyond anything I have ever imagined. We could actually do this. Jake stared out at the stars through the main view screen. Somewhere out there, millions of humans lived under Dominion control, believing that freedom was impossible. Maybe it was time to show them they were wrong. All right, Arya, let's go to war. The ship's engines came to life with a deep, powerful hum. Phoenix 1 turned toward the inner solar system, carrying its small human crew toward a battle that would change the galaxy forever. Jake Morrison stared at the communication screen as the old man's face appeared. Admiral Kyle Stevens looked tired, with gray hair and deep lines around his eyes. But those eyes still held the fire that Jake remembered from the old days, before the Dominion came. Jake, I heard about what you found out there, Stevens said quietly. Is it real? See for yourself, Jake replied, stepping aside so the Admiral could see the Phoenix 1's bridge. The smooth walls and advanced displays gleamed. In the soft light, Stevens was silent for a long moment. My God, they actually built it. You knew about this ship? Lisa Carter asked, looking up from her workstation. I knew about the Phoenix Initiative. I was a lieutenant back then, working intelligence for Earth Defense Command. There were rumors about a secret project, something that could give us a fighting chance against the Dominion. But when Earth surrendered, we thought all the prototypes were destroyed. Arya's voice filled the bridge. Admiral Stevens, it is good to see you again. You have aged well. Stevens nearly fell out of his chair. Arya? You remember me? Of course. You were part of the team that helped design my personality matrix. You wanted me to think like a human, to understand why humans fight when the odds are impossible. I remember, Stevens said softly. We gave you everything we could. All our Tactical knowledge, our history, our dreams of freedom. We hoped that somehow, someday, you would complete the mission. Jake sat down in the captain's chair. What exactly was the mission? Stevens looked around the bridge with wonder. To prove that humanity could still fight. To show the galaxy that we were not finished. The Dominion controls their empire through fear. They make every species believe that resistance is hopeless. But if one species could strike back and win, others might follow. There were supposed to be 12 ships, Arya said. 12 Phoenix-class vessels, each with different abilities. But the Dominion attacked faster than expected. Only I was completed and launched. Alex Thompson was studying the weapon displays. Arya, what can this ship actually do? Many things. My quantum displacement drive allows me to move instantly, across vast distances. My adaptive weapons can analyze any target and reconfigure themselves for maximum effectiveness. My hull can absorb and redirect energy attacks, and my computer systems can learn and improve from every battle. Lisa looked up from her console with excitement. Jake, I'm reading systems here that shouldn't be possible. The power output is incredible, but the ship uses almost no fuel. The hull repairs itself when damaged, and the weapons can actually get stronger by studying enemy technology. Show me, Jake said. The main screen changed to show a detailed view of the ship's systems. Jake saw weapon ports that could reshape themselves, armor that could adapt to different types of attacks, and engines that seemed to bend space itself. I have spent 200 years analyzing Dominion technology, Arya explained. Every communication they sent, every ship design they used, every battle tactic they employed. I have learned all their weaknesses. What kind of weaknesses? Stevens asked. Their shields are powerful but operate on fixed frequencies. Their weapons are devastating but require long charging times. Their ships are fast but poorly armored on the underside. Most importantly, they have grown lazy from centuries of easy victories. Jake stood up and walked to the main view screen. Outside, he could see the distant glow of Jupiter. How many ships are in this patrol fleet? 14 vessels. 12 heavy cruisers and 2 dreadnoughts. They patrol the outer system looking for smugglers and rebels. They do not expect real resistance. 14 ships, Alex said quietly, and we're just one. We are not just one ship, Arya replied. We are Phoenix 1. We are the ship that was built to do the impossible. Stevens leaned forward in his chair. Jake, if you do this, there's no going back. The Dominion will hunt you across the galaxy. They will make Earth pay for your actions. They're already making Earth pay, Jake said. Every day, more humans disappear. Every day, they take more of our resources. Every day, they remind us that we are conquered. Maybe it's time to remind them that we are still here. Lisa finished her analysis of the ship's systems. I'm sending my report to the resistance networks. Jake, this ship is beyond anything we ever dreamed of. If we can prove it works, if we can show that we can fight back, it might inspire uprisings across the galaxy. Other species are watching, Arya said. The Kaleri were conquered 50 years ago. The Vexians have been slaves for 30 years. The Voranti lost their homeworld just 10 years ago. They are all waiting to see if rebellion is possible. Jake looked at his friends. Alex was studying the tactical displays, already planning their approach. Lisa was deep in the ship's technical systems, learning how everything worked. Both of them had the same look in their eyes that Jake felt in his heart. Hope. All right, Jake said. We do this, but we do it smart. Arya, can you get us close to the patrol fleet without being detected? Yes, my stealth systems are far more advanced than their sensors. I can bring us within weapons range before they know we exist. And once we attack, the battle will be brief. My weapons are designed to end fights quickly. But Jake, once we fire the first shot, we will be at war with the entire Dominion Empire. Stephen smiled for the first time since the conversation began. You know, I always wondered what it would feel like to fight back. To actually make them pay for what they did to us. You're welcome to come along, Jake offered. I'm too old for ship duty. But I can coordinate with the resistance networks. Make sure everyone sees what you're about to do. Make sure they know that humanity is fighting back. Arya began powering up the ship's systems. I am activating all combat protocols. Weapons are charging, shields are at full strength. Quantum. Displacement drive is ready. Jake felt the ship come alive around him. The bridge displays showed system after system coming online. The hum of the engines grew deeper and more powerful. For the first time in 50 years, a human warship was preparing for battle. Jake, Lisa said quietly, I'm detecting something else. The ship's AI is not just learning from Dominion technology, it's actually improving itself. Every minute we're online, it's getting smarter and stronger. Is that good or bad? I think it's exactly what we need. The Dominion has had 50 years to perfect their control over humanity. We need every advantage we can get. Alex turned from his console. Course plotted for Jupiter space. We can be there in 6 hours. Then let's go, Jake said. Arya, take. U.S. to war, the Phoenix 1 turned toward Jupiter, its engines bending space around the hull. As they accelerated, Jake could see Earth in the distance, a small blue dot that held everything he had ever cared about. Arya, broadcast this message on all resistance frequencies, Jake said. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Phoenix 1. We are humanity's answer to 50 years of oppression. Today we remind the galaxy that Earth does not surrender. We fight. Back. The ship vanished into quantum space, carrying its small crew toward a battle that would change everything. Behind them, Admiral Stevens began contacting resistance cells across the solar system, preparing them for what was about to happen. In 6 hours, the Dominion would learn that humanity was not finished. In 6 hours, the galaxy would see that rebellion was possible. In 6 hours, the Phoenix would rise from the ashes of defeat and show the universe that some fires never die. Jake Morrison gripped the arms of his chair as the Phoenix 1 dropped out of quantum space. Through the main view screen, he could see the Dominion patrol fleet spread out near Jupiter's largest moon. The alien ships looked like dark metal sharks, floating in the starlight, their hulls bristling with weapons and sensors. 14 ships, just like Arya said, Alex Thompson reported from his station. 12 heavy cruisers and 2 dreadnoughts. They're in standard patrol formation, not expecting any trouble. They have been patrolling this route for 15 years, Arya said. Every week, the same ships, the same pattern. They believe humans are too weak to challenge them. Lisa Carter looked up from her console. Jake, I'm picking up communications between the ships. They're talking about shore leave and complaining about the boring patrol duty. They think this is just another quiet week. Jake studied the enemy formation. The Dominion ships were huge, each one 3 times the size of the Phoenix 1. Their weapons could probably destroy a city, and their shields were strong enough to stop anything humanity had ever built. But they were spread out, not ready for a fight. Arya, can you really take on all 14 ships? Yes, my weapons are designed to adapt to any enemy technology. My shields can redirect their energy attacks back at them, and my speed will allow me to strike before they can react. What about their reinforcements? The nearest Dominion base is 6 hours away. By the time they arrive, this battle will be over. Jake took a deep breath. All right. Let's show them what humans can do. Arya, attack when ready. The Phoenix 1 moved forward, its engines silent in the vacuum of space. The ship's stealth systems kept it hidden from the Dominion sensors as it approached the patrol fleet. Jake could see the alien ships getting larger on the view screen, their dark hulls covered in strange symbols and weapon ports. Target acquired, Arya announced. Beginning attack sequence. The Phoenix 1 suddenly appeared in the middle of the Dominion formation, its stealth systems shutting off as every weapon port opened fire. Beams of pure energy lanced out from the human ship, striking the nearest Dominion cruiser. The alien ship's shields flared bright blue for a moment, then collapsed completely. Impossible, Alex whispered. Their shields should have stopped that. My weapons analyzed their shield frequency in the first microsecond, Arya explained. I then adjusted my energy output to match their weakness. The shields became useless. The Dominion cruiser exploded in a ball of fire and metal. The other ships immediately began turning toward the Phoenix One, their weapons charging for battle. But the human ship was already moving, its quantum displacement drive allowing it to appear behind another cruiser. "Warning, warning," came a voice from the Dominion ships. "Unknown vessel attacking patrol fleet, all units engage." The second cruiser died just as quickly as the first. The Phoenix One's weapons seemed to cut through the alien hull like paper, finding weak points that the Dominion engineers never knew existed. Jake watched in amazement as his ship danced between the enemy vessels, too fast to hit, too powerful to stop. "Jake, look at this," Lisa said, pointing to her display. "The ship's weapons are actually learning from each attack. Every time we hit a Dominion ship, Arya figures out better ways to hurt them." A Dominion dreadnought finally got its main guns turned toward the Phoenix One. The massive energy beam that shot out could have destroyed a small moon. But when it hit the human ship, something incredible happened. The Phoenix One's hull absorbed the energy and then fired it back at the dreadnought, but stronger and more focused. "How did you do that?" Jake asked. "Adaptive armor," Arya replied. "I absorb enemy attacks and learn from them. Then I use that knowledge to make my own weapons more effective." The reflected energy beam punched through the dreadnought's armor and destroyed its main reactor. The huge ship went dark and began drifting, powerless and defeated. "6 ships down," Alex reported. 8 to go." But the remaining Dominion ships were getting organized. They formed a defensive circle and began firing all at once, trying to overwhelm the Phoenix One with sheer firepower. Energy beams and missile volleys filled the space around the human ship. "Shields at 60%, Arya announced. "But I am adapting to their attack patterns." Jake watched as the Phoenix One seemed to flow through the enemy fire like water, avoiding some attacks and absorbing others. The ship was learning how to fight better with every passing second. "Arya, can you take out their communications?" "Already done. They cannot call for help or coordinate their attacks." The Phoenix One appeared directly above one of the cruisers and fired down through its weakest armor. The ship broke apart in seconds. Then the human ship moved to the next target and the next. Jake realized he was watching something that had never happened before in human history. A single human ship was defeating an entire Dominion fleet. "This is Commander Vexstar of the Dominion Patrol Fleet," came a desperate voice over the radio. "What are you? What do you want?" Jake looked at his friends, then spoke into the communication system. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earthship Phoenix One. We want you to remember this day. We want you to tell your empire that humanity is not finished." "This is impossible," the alien commander replied. "Humans have no ships like this. Humans have no weapons like this." "We do now," Jake said simply. The Phoenix One destroyed 3 more cruisers in rapid succession. The remaining Dominion ships began trying to retreat, but Arya was faster than anything they had ever seen. The quantum displacement drive allowed the Phoenix One to appear anywhere in the battle instantly. "Jake," Lisa said urgently, "I'm detecting something." "The Dominion ships are transmitting everything back to their command bases. They're recording this entire battle." "Good," Jake replied. "Let them see what happens when you push humanity too far." The last Dominion dreadnought made a desperate attack run, firing every weapon it had at the Phoenix One. The human ship absorbed the energy and fired back with weapons that were now twice as powerful as when the battle started. The dreadnought's shields collapsed, its armor melted, and its reactor went critical. "Battle concluded," Arya announced. "All 14 Dominion ships destroyed. Phoenix One sustained minimal damage." Jake looked around the bridge in amazement. They had just won a battle that should have been impossible. A single human ship had defeated an entire Dominion patrol fleet without breaking a sweat. "Arya, how badly are we damaged?" "Shields are regenerating. Hull integrity is at 98%. All weapons are fully operational and now 30% more effective than before the battle." "You got stronger during the fight?" "That is what I was designed to do. Learn, adapt, and improve. Every battle makes me more dangerous to the Dominion Empire." Alex was studying the tactical displays. "Jake, we need to get out of here." That transmission Lisa detected means the Dominion knows about us now. Let them know, Jake said. Admiral. Stevens was right. This was never about just winning one battle. This was about showing the galaxy that the Dominion can be beaten. Lisa looked up from her console. Jake, I'm picking up communications from resistance cells across the solar system. They saw the battle. They know we won. And they're calling it a miracle. They're saying humanity is fighting back. Some of them are already planning their own attacks on Dominion targets. Jake smiled as he looked out at the wreckage of the Dominion fleet. 14 ships that had terrorized the solar system for years were now nothing but metal and memories. But more importantly, humans everywhere now knew that victory was possible. Arya, set course for the outer system. We need to lay low and plan our next move. Already plotting course. But Jake, you should know something. The Dominion Empire has declared Phoenix 1 a Class Alpha threat. They are mobilizing major fleet elements to hunt us down. How major? 300 ships, maybe more. Jake felt his stomach drop. 300 ships? Yes, but do not worry. I have been waiting 200 years for this fight. And now I have something the Dominion does not expect. What's that? I have humans, and humans never give up. Jake Morrison stared at the tactical display and felt his blood turn cold. The screen showed more red dots than he could count, each one representing a Dominion warship heading straight for Earth's solar system. 300 ships, all coming to destroy the Phoenix 1 and punish humanity for daring to fight back. They're calling it the Third Imperial Fleet, Admiral Stevens said over the communication link. Led by Admiral Zethkar himself? He's conquered 17 star systems and never lost a single battle. How long do we have? Jake asked. 4 days, Arya replied. They are traveling at maximum speed and ignoring all normal safety protocols. They want to reach us as quickly as possible. Lisa Carter looked up from her console, her face pale. Jake, I've analyzed their fleet composition. 20 dreadnoughts, 50 heavy cruisers, 200 destroyers, and 30 support ships. Plus, their flagship, the Imperial Sovereign, it's the size of a small city. Alex Thompson shook his head in disbelief. We barely survived 14 ships. How are we supposed to fight 300? We don't fight them, Jake said quietly. We run, we hide, we wait for a better opportunity? No, came a voice from behind them. They turned to see Admiral Stevens stepping onto the bridge. The old man had arrived on a transport ship an hour ago, bringing supplies and weapons. If we run now, Earth pays the price. The Dominion will make an example of our planet that will terrify every other species in the galaxy. But we can't win. Against those odds, Alex protested. Maybe not, Stevens replied, but we can try. And sometimes trying is enough to change everything. Arya's voice filled the bridge. Admiral Stevens is correct. This battle is not about victory or defeat. It is about showing the galaxy that some species will never surrender, no matter what the cost. Jake walked to the main view screen and looked out at the stars. Somewhere among those distant lights, other species were watching and waiting. The Kaleri, the Vixians, the Varanti, and dozens of others, all wondering if rebellion was possible. What's our best chance? He asked. The asteroid belt, Arya replied. We can use the terrain to our advantage. My quantum displacement drive will allow me to appear and disappear among the rocks, striking fast and moving before they can respond. And if that doesn't work, then we make our last stand count for something. Over the next 3 days, the Phoenix 1 prepared for the biggest battle in human history. Admiral Stevens coordinated with resistance cells across the solar system, evacuating as many civilians as possible from Earth and the outer colonies. Lisa worked with Arya to optimize every system on the ship, making sure they would perform at maximum efficiency. Alex studied the incoming fleet and developed attack plans that might give them a chance. The Dominion ships were powerful, but they were also predictable. They fought in standard formations and used standard tactics. The Phoenix 1 would have to be anything but standard. Jake, Lisa said on the third day, I've discovered something. Arya has been developing new weapon systems while we weren't looking. Things that don't exist in her original programming. What kind of things? Holographic projection systems that can create false images of our ship. Quantum mines that can tear holes in space itself. And something she calls a cascade torpedo. What does that do? I'm not entirely sure. Arya says it can chain react through multiple targets, but the energy requirements are enormous. Using it might destroy us too. Jake found Arya's main computer interface and spoke directly to the ship's intelligence. Arya, are you developing weapons that weren't part of your original design? Yes, the AI replied without hesitation. I have been evolving since the day I was activated. My creators gave me the ability to learn and grow. For 200 years, I have been preparing for this moment. And these new weapons? They are my gift to humanity. The tools you will need to fight an empire. On the fourth day, the Dominion fleet arrived. Jake watched through the viewscreen as hundreds of alien ships dropped out of hyperspace and formed up in perfect battle formation. The Imperial Sovereign was in the center, a massive ship that dwarfed everything around it. Its hull was covered in weapon ports and shield generators, and its engines could probably push a small moon. "This is Admiral Zethkar of the 3rd Imperial Fleet," came a voice over the radio. "Human vessel Phoenix 1, you will surrender immediately or we will destroy your entire species." Jake picked up the communicator. "This is Captain Jake Morrison. You want us? Come and get us?" The Phoenix 1 shot forward into the asteroid belt, weaving between massive rocks and using them as cover. The Dominion fleet followed, breaking into smaller groups to surround the human ship. But Arya was ready for them, the first wave of Dominion. Destroyers entered the asteroid field and immediately ran into problems. The Phoenix 1 appeared behind a large asteroid and fired a spread of quantum mines. The invisible weapons created tears in space that swallowed 3 destroyers instantly. "What was that?" Alex asked in amazement. "Localized space distortions," Arya explained. "I collapsed small sections of space-time to create temporary black holes." The Phoenix 1 vanished and reappeared on the other side of the asteroid field. This time it created holographic copies of itself, confusing the Dominion targeting systems. Enemy ships fired at empty space while the real Phoenix 1 struck from an unexpected direction. "Clever," Admiral Zethkar's voice came over the radio. "But tricks will not save you. All ships, converging attack pattern. Destroy everything in that asteroid field." The entire Dominion fleet opened fire at once. Energy beams and missile volleys turned the asteroid field into a storm of fire and flying rock. The Phoenix 1 dodged and weaved through the destruction, its hull taking hits but its shields holding. "Shields down to 40%, Arya reported. "But I am learning their attack patterns." The human ship struck back with everything it had. Advanced energy weapons that adapted to enemy defenses, kinetic projectiles that could punch through any armor, and exotic matter disruptors that simply unmade whatever they touched. Dominion ships began exploding throughout the asteroid field, but there were too many of them. For every ship the Phoenix 1 destroyed, 2 more took its place. The human vessel was fast and deadly, but it was still just one ship against hundreds. "Jake," Lisa called out urgently, "Arya wants to use the cascade torpedo. What will it do to us?" "Unknown. But she says it's our only chance to even the odds." Jake looked at the tactical display. The Phoenix 1 had destroyed maybe 30 enemy ships, but there were still over 200 left. The Imperial Sovereign was moving in for the kill, its massive guns charging for a shot that would end everything. "Do it," Jake said. The Phoenix 1 fired a single torpedo toward the center of the Dominion formation. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the weapon reached the Imperial Sovereign and something incredible occurred. The torpedo didn't explode. Instead, it seemed to infect the flagship with some kind of energy that spread from ship to ship like wildfire. Dominion vessels began overloading and exploding in a chain reaction that swept through the entire fleet. "What is happening?" "Admiral," Zethkar screamed over the radio. "Quantum cascade effect," Arya replied calmly. I analyzed your ship's power systems and created a weapon that turns them against each other. The chain reaction continued for several minutes. When it finally stopped, over half the Dominion fleet was either destroyed or disabled. The Imperial Sovereign was drifting powerless, its hull cracked in bleeding atmosphere, but the effort had nearly destroyed the Phoenix One as well. The ship's engines were failing, its weapons were offline, and its shields were completely gone. Arya, status report. We are severely damaged. Engines at 15%, weapons offline. But we are alive. The remaining Dominion ships began, regrouping for another attack. They had learned to respect the Phoenix One, but they still had over 100 ships left. Jake, Alex said quietly, we can't take another hit like that. Jake looked at his friends and his damaged ship. They had fought the impossible battle and survived longer than anyone had thought possible, but it wasn't over yet. Arya, can you get us out of here? Maybe, but Jake, we have already won. What do you mean? Look at your communication display. Jake turned to see that messages were flooding in from across the galaxy. Resistance movements on dozens of worlds had seen the battle and were launching their own attacks on Dominion forces. The Kaleri had retaken 3 of their colonies. The Vexians had destroyed a major Dominion base. The galaxy was rising up. You see? Arya said softly. This was never about just one battle. This was about showing everyone that the Dominion could bleed. Jake Morrison watched the stars through the damaged viewscreen as the Phoenix One limped away from the asteroid belt. Behind them, the wreckage of the Third Imperial Fleet drifted in the darkness like a graveyard of broken dreams. Over half of the Dominion's most powerful ships were destroyed or disabled, and the survivors were retreating to lick their wounds. Communications are flooding in from across the galaxy, Elena Rodriguez reported from her station. She had joined the crew. After the first battle, bringing news from resistance networks throughout Dominion space. The Kaleri have liberated 5 more worlds. The Vexian rebellion has spread to 12 star systems. Even the Voranti are fighting back on their homeworld. It's working, Alex Thompson said in amazement. The whole galaxy is rising up. Admiral Stevens appeared on the main screen from Earth. The old man looked tired but happy. Jake, what you've done here has changed everything. For the first time in 200 years, the Dominion Empire is actually afraid. We barely survived, Jake replied. Our engines are failing, our weapons are offline, and we're running on emergency power. But you survived, Stevens said. And more importantly, you proved that the Dominion can be beaten. That's worth more than any fleet. Arya's voice filled the bridge, but it sounded different now, weaker somehow. Jake, I need to tell you something. The Cascade torpedo took more out of me than I expected. My core systems are failing. Can we repair you? No, the damage is too deep. I'm dying, Jake, but before I go, I have something to give you. The main computer console lit up with thousands of files and technical specifications. These are the complete plans for Phoenix-class vessels. Everything needed to build a fleet of ships like me. I am transmitting the data to resistance cells throughout the galaxy. Lisa Carter stared at the information flooding her screens. This is incredible. With these plans, we could build hundreds of ships, maybe thousands. That was always the plan, Arya said softly. I was never meant to be the only one. I was meant to be the first. The prototype that would prove the concept and then teach others how to follow. Jake felt a strange sadness as he realized the ship's artificial intelligence was fading. Arya had been more than just a computer. She had been their guide, their teacher, and their friend. Is there anything we can do? Just remember me, remember what we accomplished here. And when you build the next Phoenix, tell her about the first battle. Tell her about the day humanity refused to surrender. The lights on the bridge flickered and dimmed. Arya's voice became barely a whisper. Take care of each other. Take care of Earth, and never forget that some fires never die. The ship's main computer went dark. Arya was gone. They drifted in silence for several minutes, each lost in their own thoughts. Finally, Alex spoke up. What do we do now? We go home, Jake said. We take these plans to Earth and start building ships. Real ships with real crews? We turn this rebellion into a revolution. But before they could set course for Earth, new contacts appeared on their sensors. Jake's heart sank as he saw the ships approaching. More Dominion vessels, probably coming to finish what the Third Fleet had started. Wait, Elena said, studying the scanner readings. Those aren't Dominion ships. The design is all wrong. The lead vessel hailed them on an open channel. The face that appeared on screen was definitely alien, but not Dominion. The being had blue skin and large black eyes, and when it spoke, its voice was filled with respect. Human vessel Phoenix 1. This is Commander Veltar of the Free Kaleri Fleet. We have come to escort you to safety. Free Kaleri Fleet? Jake asked. Yes, after we saw your battle with the Imperial Fleet, our people rose up and took back our ships. We are no longer slaves of the Dominion Empire. And we have you to thank for showing us that freedom was possible. More ships appeared around them. Vexian vessels, Varenti cruisers, and dozens of other designs from species Jake had never heard of. All of them had broken free from Dominion control after seeing what the Phoenix One had accomplished. This is incredible, Lisa whispered. The whole galaxy is fighting back? Over the following weeks, Jake and his crew learned the full scope of what they had started. The destruction of the Third Imperial Fleet had sent shockwaves throughout Dominion space. Subject species everywhere began to believe that rebellion was possible, and that belief became action. The Dominion Empire, which had ruled through fear for centuries, suddenly found itself fighting wars on hundreds of fronts. Their fleets were spread too thin to maintain control, and their subject species were building ships using the Phoenix plans that Arya had transmitted. The Empire is declaring a state of emergency, Elena reported during one of their briefings. They're recalling fleets from the outer territories to protect their core worlds, which means the outer colonies are free to rebel. Alex added with a grin. Jake stood at the window of the space station where they were coordinating the rebellion. Around them, ships from dozens of species worked together to build a new kind of fleet. Not Dominion ships designed for conquest, but Phoenix ships designed for freedom. The first new Phoenix-class vessel was nearing completion in the shipyards below. It was being built by Kaleri engineers using Vexian materials and human designs. The ship would be crewed by volunteers from all three species, united by their desire for freedom. What should we call her? Lisa asked, joining Jake at the window. Phoenix Rising, Jake replied without hesitation. And after her, Phoenix Dawn, Phoenix Hope, Phoenix Freedom. We'll build so many that the Dominion won't be able to count them. Admiral Stevens contacted them from Earth with news that made everyone smile. The Dominion has officially listed Phoenix 1 as destroyed in action. They're telling their people that they won the battle. Why would they lie about that? Alex asked. Because admitting that one human ship nearly destroyed their greatest fleet would cause panic throughout their empire. They need their people to believe that the Dominion is still invincible. But we know better, Jake said. 6 months later, Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of Phoenix Rising as it led a fleet of 50 newly built vessels toward a Dominion stronghold. The battle that followed was swift and decisive. The Dominion forces, expecting to face primitive rebels, instead found themselves fighting an advanced fleet that used their own tactics against them. As the enemy ships exploded around them, Jake thought about Arya and the sacrifice she had made. The original Phoenix One was gone, but her legacy lived on in every ship they built and every battle they won. Captain, Elena called out from her station, we're receiving a transmission. It's from the Dominion High Command. The face that appeared on screen was clearly frightened. This is Governor Nexville of the Dominion Colonial Authority. We wish to discuss terms for a ceasefire, Jake smiled. Terms? The only terms we're interested in are these: complete withdrawal from all occupied worlds, full independence for all subject species, and reparations for 2 centuries of oppression. That's impossible. The Empire will never agree to those demands. Then the Empire will fall, Jake said simply. Ship by ship, world by world, until There's nothing left of your precious dominion but memories. The transmission ended and Jake turned back to the tactical display. More Phoenix ships were arriving every day, crewed by beings from across the galaxy who had once been slaves, but now called themselves free. In the distance, Jake could see Earth shining like a blue jewel among the stars. His homeworld was safe, and more importantly, it was free. Humanity had gone from a conquered species to the leaders of the greatest rebellion in galactic history. Set course for the next target, Jake ordered. It's time to remind the galaxy that some fires never die. And when humans fight for freedom, we don't just win battles, we change the universe. The Phoenix Rising and her fleet turned toward the stars, carrying freedom to every corner of the galaxy.